Hey, what's up everybody? It's KyFy. I'm glad you could be here. If you are new here, welcome to a KyFy Theory. I'm your host. Basically, if you are returning, what's good? You know how we do. I got a really good message for Virgo today, and I took a little break because a lot happened. But when a lot happens, I gain more experience. But in between that time, a lot of things change in how I like to form out the information for you to understand. So even though, I'm one person, I'm one perspective, but I need how I'm able to communicate the message to be proper in a way that you can absorb it correctly. Before I get started, I want to talk about the solar plexus. I got a message for you when it comes up to that. There's no fire here. So how is this the fireplace, right? So I had to really think about it. Gemini has a different description on how I go about this or understanding in the first place. But the way I'm going to do it here goes as follows. So there's air and earth in this place. There's Gemini, Libra, Taurus, and Virgo in the solar plexus at holding that sack on the tree of life. So none of those four signs are fire. So what makes it the fire chakra at all? Like, what makes it the solar plexus? So my mind always thought about how can that be, right? So the answer I came up with is this. Air has pressure and earth has pressure. And these two forms of pressure, depending on how you're using it, create heat. So that's what I got. It's the pressure to create heat in some sort of containment, right? So the containment of your soul, the pressure to do or not to do, is the solar plexus. So that's what it is. But specifically for Virgo, you and Gemini, so this is why you might need to take a look at the last reading. But you and Gemini share the perspective of the pressure not to do, right? You rule the world with that quirk, not to do. When somebody says you shouldn't do this because it does something like this to you, you are the people who are going to be first in line not to do it. You're going to understand, overstand why you're not going to do it. You're going to understand everything about it and be able to teach people about it. That's what you do. So when it comes up to that, Gemini was in the mental with everything on that aspect. You guys, the Virgo, are within the manifestation of everything, the earthly elements of everything, the thing that you cook with. What I mean by that is, let's just say these four elements are elements in a pot for cooking. Unless you have something to actually cook, some sort of manifestation to cook, nothing will actually, you can't eat. There's no food on the table, right? There's no food on that table. So this is the place where you get the condiments for the food, right? So you can understand food as in a bike. That's one part of food. You can also take it as a job that you have, but a job that does something specific for you that helps you nourish yourself, right? Then you can take it, it's many different ways, but things that help you nurture in the form of manifestation. So all things manna. So a bike compared to a car, the manner difference between a bike and a car is it doesn't even really compare what you can do with a bike and a car. But there are benefits to having a bike and using a bike, and there are benefits to using a car. So there's manner differences in those things. So take that high resonance with everything that you have in your possession, because if you do an inventory, you'll understand what you can use and the things that you're not supposed to do with what you use. So maybe the things that you're attracted to are the things that you're not supposed to do, and the things that you're supposed to do or supposed to restrain yourself from doing, it's also in your possession not to do it. So take that high resonance. That was the solar plexus, but let's continue on with the Zin-Finity Board. So what is the Zin-Finity Board? The Zin-Finity Board is an elementally energetic grid that flows on a 21-part circuit, housing all aspects of the mind, everything that you can think of, right? In a still life fashion. So basically, anything that you can possibly think of is on this board, and we're going to get down to every aspect of it, right? And this is why it makes it so special, and this is why I'm advertising it to the spiritual community, and this is why I believe and I know in my heart that this is going to be one of the things that the one in 100 years, one of those things that you've never seen in 100 years. It's like the internet all over again, and that's what I'm showing you today, or more like a in transitional communication with your spirit through this board. But yeah, so Virgo, for your attributes, every sign has their own attributes, and they go as quirks in this matrix. So there's something that you do better than anybody else in this world because you are a Virgo. So let me get down to it. The first one is the perspective of I am, right? You have that sense of fear locked down. It's something that you do not let rule your life, right? So when it does rule your life, you'll understand that you're allowing it to do it through yourself. You are letting that happen. It's in your power, and you know that. So when that's out of whack, you can understand that fear is something that you can clearly see and push out your way. So I am. The next is the house of health, right? On the solar plexus, you're known as the house of health, right? The fuel is glory. So the thing that fuels your house is glory, right? Think of glory as gas for the house that keeps it warm, or electricity and electricity that keeps it powered. It's all of it. It's everything that nurtures that house in general, right? So glory does that for you. It nurtures your being. Next is the focus and the power. So there's focus and power, and they go hand in hand, almost like archery does with the bow and the string, and you know, the arrow, of course, in the destination. But the focus is the bow. You're holding the bow, you have to aim, right? The power is the power behind the force of the shot, and then you understand the trajectory, all that fancy stuff. So are you hitting your targets? That's basically what this is. So those two elements goes as follows. The focus is the pillar of mercy. Now, the pillar of mercy connects your root to your will. So everything that is manifested from you, or that you're able to grab, right? You're able to use it properly. That's what you do the best. And you do it through pure intentions. I'm going to get to that later. That's one of the messages, pure intentions, right? So that's the one thing. The second thing is the Hermit card. So the Hermit connects from the will to the heart. So not only do you move with pure intentions, it's pure intentions straight from your heart. The things that you find beautiful in life, you move towards those things regardless. And people who get in the way of that is a clear indication of something that you need to learn from, and why you let it, because you know it's a fear involved in it. Why you let it take hold of you. You move with such integrity. How could fear stop you? But integrity is not courage. The next attribute is the tool, which is your will. So this is your willpower right here. This space right here. On the other side is the spirit power. This side is the willpower, right? So understand this as stamina to mana in any kind of game, right? That's kind of the difference. So your stamina is elite. Why? Because naturally the actions that you gravitate towards tend you to care for yourself. So when you do that, your spirit is also nurtured just by default. So by default, you are nurturing yourself, so you're always taken care of. You're taken care of, yeah. So the reliance on other people is like lacking. You don't really need to rely on other people. So if you feel like you do need to rely on other people, what is it about their gifts and their skills that you can implement in your own life? You were there, they were sent to you so you can learn from them. So learn from them. If they're willing to share, especially, right? People who are willing to share from you, learn from them, right? So let me do a rundown of the attributes really quickly. So It's the perspective, the house, the fuel, the focus, the power, and the tool. The perspective is I am, right here in the root chakra. The house is the health, right? In the solar plexus, of course. The fuel is glory, which fuels the house, right? The focus is the pillar of mercy, which expands your will, basically your stamina, your soul, your spiritual stamina, your soul stamina, your conscious stamina. Thank you, conscious stamina. Then it goes from there to the power, which is the hermit card, which is the connection from your stamina, your will, to your heart, right? Your heart's or basically not the desire of your heart, what keeps your heart healthy, your space pure, your space clean. Then from there you go to the tool, which is your will naturally, which helps you to deliberate and form things in this world. Deliberation and form, basically everything that comes at you comes through a sense, and through your senses you can judge what it is. So judgment and deliberation is what happens in the world of formation. So what it is, you're able to actually identify correctly. That doesn't mean you can use it properly. You can identify it correctly. You know, we're not perfect. We're all pieces of God. So yeah, now to the messages. All imagination becomes potential energy. So in the world of emanation right here, where is a soul power to imagine, everything that you imagine goes into the world of creation, where you can create something with that imagination. So it's different. There's thinking, there's imagination, and then there's creation, right? 3 different facilities that are in your mind that you have to learn how to use separately, because that's how it is. When you mismatch them, you don't know what's speaking to you. Is your soul speaking to you? Is your mind speaking to you? Or is your spirit speaking to you? That's what that is. So yeah, but it goes to potential energy. All potential gives you the ability to get what you desire. But is what you desire accurate? Is what you desire from the soul? Is what you desire from the ego? You never know. Or not you never know. If you study yourself, if you learn what you want to do, you'll know. You'll know if it's in your way. Yeah. So basically the focus of the message was the difference between imagination and deliberation and creation, basically. To understand these 3 differences, because your deliberation and your imagination are not one and the same. So we're going to talk about how to split those 2. And the reason why that's crazy, if you don't learn how to split the 2, is because not everything that you imagine is real. But what you imagine, according to your trauma, can trigger you into thinking that it might happen again, or it might happen to you, past and future. Like, it's a trauma through fear, but it's a trauma in general. So for all the signs, I do a Tesla infinity read. And what is that? You know, you have vibration, frequency, energy. Tesla's famous, you know, his famous things, right? And added to that, God wanted me to do it. He said sound and then the stream. But S and S by itself makes infinity. So I just said VFE infinity read, right? So a Tesla VFE infinity read. That's what we're going to do right here. So give me a moment to get vibration out right about now. Alright, so I made a mistake, and then God said, no, that wasn't a mistake. Just put all the cards down right now. So this is how I'm going to do it from now on. But I'm going to explain it separately and do it and draw it separately. So it just makes it faster and, you know, more complete so you can understand it. So the cards that are faced up that you see right here, you have the Ace of Wands, the 8 of Pentacles, the Knight of Cups, the 7 of Cups, and the Death card. These cards right here represent the vibration. So what's the vibe, right? That's the question you can ask yourself right now. Or what's been the vibe? Or what do you want the vibe to be? Like past, present, future kind of thing. That's what you ask yourself right now. But it goes in these perspectives. Each one of these 10 black cards is a perspective in your mind. The red cards are energies, right? But these perspectives right here, they never overlap. and they pinpoint exactly where your mind is. So let's start off with the first perspective, which is I know. So your knowing is on suit. What does that mean? Basically, every one of these cards is an element, and each space requires an element or two to be there, right? In these spaces right here, it needs to be at one element. Fire, air, water, earth, right? It needs to be one of those. In these two, it can be fire or earth. In these two, it can be air or water, right? In this space right here, it can be anything, but understand that when it is anything, that place will never be balanced or imbalanced because it's from your being. It's who you are. So the power of who you are corrects what could be off. So that's how it goes. So when I say the Ace of Wands is on suit, your knowing is on point. And let's talk about that real quick. The Ace of Wands. So creation, willpower, inspiration, and desire. It's good because your knowing to your desire is not manipulated in any kind of way. From your knowing to your desire. So everything that you learn that's for you, you know it's for you. You're spiritually connected to at least like no, it's for you. You don't have to really focus so hard on it. So that's a good thing. Your spiritual focus is on point. Next in the perspective of vibration is I want. So your wanting is also on suit. You're good with that. Where you're going. This is basically your crosshairs. There's the path, right? And this is basically where your path comes up in front of you, like in a game. You're just gonna keep up. It's just gonna keep going up in front of you exactly where it needs to be. So you are a builder in that venture. So when there's no bridge, you can create one, and that happens easily for you. And that's one of your strong suits, right? So let's get the Eight of Pentacles. So diligence, passion, and high standards. See, diligence and discipline and things like that, those are basically, you've experienced some things that required you to be a certain way, and it's all in training. So you've been training, and the training has started to pay off. When you start to see how it pays off is when you don't need to have that much faith to know that it's going to pay off. You have proof, and that proof is coming. So if you're looking for proof, that proof is coming towards you. And high standards, basically, your dream and your dream is your standard, and your dream is 9-part fantasy. Well, I want to say 9 or 10, but I like to use a 9 because, you know, that's the number for the ether. Your dream is 9-part fantasy. So if you find the correct fantasies to go by and live by, right, you reach the true potential of your dream. So if your fantasies are misaligned, your dream is skewed somehow, even though that you know the dream is there. You gotta not mismatch, but replace things in order to fit things in the proper place. Or I kind of like said it. Okay, whatever. But yeah, I hope you can understand that. So the Ace of Wands was the throat chakra, right? The Eight of Pentacles and the Knight of Cups is the third eye. And the Eight of Pentacles was the light side of the third eye. So on the dark side of the third eye, we have the Knight of Cups. And let's get it. So this is the perspective of I need, right? And this is following the heart, idealistic, and romantic. Now, romance is a dead language, right? But it doesn't mean it's not useful. Romance basically sparks the energy from you. So if somebody says I love you, you have now the potential and the ambition the ambition to do for that person. So romance is important when you need something from somebody. When you need something from somebody, being romantic to them in a certain way gives or kind of unlocks that energy for you. But be careful about manipulation with that, because if you know you can get something out of somebody by doing that, God is watching you, looking at you dead in your face while you're doing it. So be careful, right? Or if somebody's doing that to you, now you have that watchful eye to understand how and why it's happening. They need something, or they want something. Next up is the perspective of I will. So all the things that you will do. I will go to the gym. I will go fishing. I will be an astronaut. I will be a miner. Like I will do these things, and that will forms a plan in its own self. And even if you don't know all the aspects of the plan, the aspects of the fantasy, right? It'll piece itself together as you take step by step. Because it's sometimes you can't see the perspective of the next step until you just take the first step. Sometimes your legs are not long enough to reach the third step, so you just got to take the second step. Maybe you don't even see where the steps end, but you still got to keep going in order to see the true vision. Oh, where does it end? Oh, now that I kept going with it, I see it. I see a glimpse of it. I see a light. It requires, what was it? Diligence, right? So 7 of Cups in the wheel, and this energy is off suit, right? Because this needed to be fire or earth. So that means what you're trying to do is blocked by some kind of emotional manipulation. We're gonna see. So the 7 of Cups is searching for purpose, choices, and daydreaming. Wow. Because I like to daydream, and I know exactly what this flaw is. So this is not the area of daydreaming. This is the conscious side. Snap out of it on this side. So if you're in your seat, I suffer with this. Right? If you are in your seat thinking about the dream and not doing anything towards the dream, that daydream, which is actually true, is only putting you in a good mood that's wasting your time. Right? So that's that. Yeah. You already searched for the purpose, and you have, okay, that's what it's about. You don't think you know the purpose. But like I said before, you can't see the end of the staircase at the beginning. You got to keep going. You got to figure out what it's for, because if you knew all the steps, if you knew everything, it would make your life a little lackluster. Or I knew this was going to happen. It didn't surprise me. God wants you to experience the best energies, the best surprises, and all that stuff. So why tell you everything that's about to happen? It's the journey and the experiences during the journey while we're here. So on the opposite side, this is the throat chakra still. It still goes within the throat chakra. So on the opposite side is Gabura, which is desire. This was just said, this is Gabura, right? This was Hokmah, this is Bina. This is Da'at. I'm going to go with the other ones later, but yeah. So on desire, we have the death card, and that's a water card. So we're good on that. This is on suit, so let me make sure that's off like that. So let's get the death card. End of cycle, change, and metamorphosis. Every time I see the death card, I resemble him as the undead warrior. I look at a lot of anime. I listen to a lot of anime. I watch it. You know, it's in me now, right? It's a part of me. And any undead creature has no flesh, so it's not like you can cut them. There's no wounds to go. There's no scabs. There's nothing nobody can take advantage of. It's only bone. You just break it and sit it down, or nothing. There's nothing you can do besides break it, but that's obvious. So people now have to do obvious things to try to manipulate you now, because you are way smarter than you were before. They have to be obvious, and it's like, it's laughable almost. Like, this is so obvious that it's this, and I'm gonna just be quiet and listen to see everything that was on your mind and the pure intentions, which you resonate with the most, Virgo, right? You resonate with that. You understand the pure intention behind it. So just listen and wait to hear the whole intention, and take the information how you want to. Well, how you need to, not how you want to, because want is in the ego, need is in the spirit. Let the spirit guide you to what you needed to ingest out of what they said. I don't even know if I said it, but the death card is the end of the cycle, change, and metamorphosis. If this is the side of your dream, right? Because we're talking about dreams now. It's focused on dreams. The armor necessary is acquired now from you. You have it. All of that praying and all of that working on yourself is about to pay off, because there are certain experiences that's probably already came to you. Random people outside. It usually happens with random people because those are also souls guided to us. You know, not contractually, but you know, God needs a soul. So somebody's going to be around you and say something to you. So however this happens, whatever coincidence happens, literally deliberate on it and figure out what you needed to learn through experience, and put the experience in your soul. Because when you put the experience in your soul and not just what you think it is, right? So it's like a soul filter. Once you put the information through the soul filter, it becomes experience, and then you can create with that. There's a step in between hearing something, registering it, and then creating with it. There's a step in between that. So yeah, that was vibration, and now we're gonna move on to frequency. The frequency is of the home, right? The home is very important because it's where you feel safe. So if these cards are off, there are places where you don't feel safe. These cards, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the last 5 cards of your perspectives, right? So continuing from desire, because in my regular readings it goes from 0 to 9 to 10 back to 0, right? This is the number 5 and this is number 6. So starting off with the number 6 of in the heart chakra is the 4 of Swords, and this is on suit. So let me get it real quick. So restoration and contemplation. This is perfect because your mind is of your own. You've gone through the grief process, and now your mind is your own. I had to say it again for some reason. Whatever you don't want in there doesn't have access to be there unless you allow it now, and you consciously know that. So if you don't want it there, you can kick it out, and you have the power to do that. And that's what it's showing me right now. Dead for that. All of it. I don't want this in my mind. I don't want this to take my energy in my mind. I need this space, right? Because this is the area of the heart. The heart is the space. What is the space? Basically, everything that you can see become pieces to your dream that always grows, right? And your dream lies within the heart. And your heart, and inside the heart, it's filled with mental energy. So you have to understand that our mind pumps the heart. So whatever that's in your mind's eye is what you find beautiful. And that's your whole scope. I can keep going in circles, but I hope we got it. So you already kind of get a gist of what this perspective is, but it's the perspective of I love. This is your heart. What you gravitate towards is what you love. It's just what it is. But what is love? I want you to switch balance with love and love with movement. So love is movement. And when you have balance in your life, you have so much movement that can occur. And that's when all the love can be put in the place, because you're moving around. Because if you're stationary, you're not going to find $1 on the floor, or you're not going to find that $50 on the floor that's allowing for you to find it, right? You got to go around the block. You got to walk the dog. You got to do this. You got to do that. You got to go to the other borough. You got to do that. Being exposed to more coincidences aligns you with the good ones to come towards you also. So being in the right place at the right time is coming up right now. Moving on from there, we have the 4 of Wands, and it's also on suit, and this is the 4 and the 4 right here. So 4 and 4, fire actually supports air. So we're going to read it right now. 4 of Wands. Community, home, and celebration. And that's perfect because what you're doing, you have a home base to come to. So community can be within your own spirit and your spirit and your consciousness. You can have a community with that. You can have union with that. Your spirit and your ego, that kind of thing. There's union there, but there's also a union outside of you through the connections that you create. And connections don't have to just be with people. It can be with people, places, or things, person, place of things, any noun, right? Anything you can have a connection with, because everything is conscious, and we're learning that now. Everything is conscious. So treat it properly, and it will treat you properly. So this is the area of I do or I act. The things that you're doing right now, your habits. So the habits goes as follows. You have thoughts that turn into words, that turns into actions, that turn into habits, that turn into like parts of you, like what's it called? Well, there are like 5 levels of habits, right? In general. So if you've been doing something that's been negatively affecting you, maybe it reached that point where it's a part of you, and it takes a lot more strength and a lot more diligence, again, to even the scales of that and kind of switch it on yourself, because you want to help yourself out. You want to balance yourself out. So this is balance in general, and it's balance in understanding the veil, what's been shrouded from you. And this is also the card that's in your solar plexus. So this is why this is so important right now. So the fact that it lined up is crazy. It's diabolical, actually. Next up in perspective is I feel. So this is your feelings, right? This is your feelings. This is your emotions. This is your feelings, and in the world of creation, harbors your emotions, or the potential for emotions. It gets very specific, but I can keep going on with that. And that's the Ace of Pentacles, and reversed, and it's also offsuit. So let's get this really quickly. So opportunity, prosperity, and new venture. I already get it. If you always think something is an opportunity and you go after those opportunities, have you fully finished those other opportunities that you ran into? You can't keep starting something and not finishing the thing before it, because what was it for? All that time that you put into it is wasted if you just see another opportunity. Even though you think it's good, what you did before is not finished. There's a reason and a purpose for it. So finish your first works, right? Your first opportunities, finish them. And prosperity and new venture is basically what you're after. Is more like the money aspect. You after the money instead of attracting it. You're after it. I want to say money is only a key, and love is over money in this world. So next up is the Queen of Wands, and this is in the place of I am. So this is also offsuit. So even though you can see the spiritual attacks coming towards you, or your future, right? I want to say your future, even though you can see that, right? What you're doing does not match what you already know. So you have to do a lot of implementation already. You already know what you need to implement, and it requires an emotional switch and a physical switch. So the Queen of Wands, let's get it. So courage, determination, and joy. So the 2 words in opposition that's coming to my mind right now is manifestation and bliss. You're after bliss instead of manifesting. So you're after buying the carrot instead of planting your own. Buying the carrot is more beautiful to you than planting a field of your own carrots. So shift priorities, or regulate your priorities, and understand what benefits you more. That's very self-explanatory. The last card in the run, which I should have did first, which is this, the 6 of Swords. So this is the place of I be, your being, who you're going to be at the beginning and ending of every day. This is kind of unchangeable. It's your soul's fingerprint. It's something that's a part of you, and that's it. It just will be a part of you, right? And that's represented by the 6 of Swords. So if this was offsuit, your being would make this onsuit. But So that means that your mind, in a sense, will always be yours. You will always be ready to take that next venture. You will always be ready to cash in, go all in on yourself. That's what that means. You will always be ready for that. But the Six of Swords, transition, leaving behind and moving on. It's clear because transmutation is death, right? Death is transmutation. So when I want to say, well, they say that we transition, but it's transmutation of the energy too. The energy is going somewhere else, or is now in another domain, or is now used differently. Like, it's something about that. So this is like when the change either comes towards you or you go towards it. You're able to shift in the change. You're able to shift perfectly. So it's almost like, oh, that wasn't that hard. I just had to do this kind of energy. Or you didn't even feel it at all, and then everybody just sees you do the opposite thing. Like, huh? When did you decide to do this? What are you even talking about? You didn't even notice it, right? It had to be shown to you. So that was the frequency, right? Now the energy goes as follows. There are 4 domains in the mind, and in these 4 domains holds 4 spiritual energies, right? So the energies I like to get clarification from the oracle cards. So I have these oracle cards, and we're going to start off with the first one, which is in the world of emanation, and it's time, right? The time for what? In your experience, time is something that you manage properly, or when you manage your time properly, your experience benefits you. And that's clear because in the time that you wasted, you also been experiencing things and leveling up in certain areas. So don't think it was ever a waste, because we came to this school. They say Earth is a school, right? We came here to learn, and you are a soul tailored to one quirk that comes straight from God, and anything that you learn makes that better. So nothing is in vain. Even though it might have been hard to go through, it's not in vain. So let's get time really quickly. But before I get there, it goes as follows. These are the perspectives of these questions right here that you can ask to yourself. Who, what, when, where, and why. Now, that's everything, right? Who, what, when, where, why. I know, I want, I need, I will, I desire, I love, I do, I feel, and I am. All of these perspectives right here, basically everything that's in your mind. So nothing overlaps, as I said, but now we're going to find out the energies at play when it comes to everything we've discussed so far. So next up, I did who already. Who had to do with time. So the people or things that take up your time is who. Filter those out. Figure out what you can do better with the time, or figure out what doesn't need your time anymore. So time becomes at play. In regards to what, it's relief, right? You are manifesting things that relieve your emotions and your fears, as well as your abilities to do things. That's what you're trying to relieve right now. So that's what. When is in the mind, right? It's the conscious thing. It has to do with power. So when you claim your power, when you nurture your power, when you nurture what you can do, when you train in that venture. Because think of entrepreneurship in the self, in your selfness. When you learn yourself, become an entrepreneur to be your best self. That's everybody's goal before everything. So your power is important in that venture. What takes your power and what you're giving your power to. So next up is where. Now, when you want to talk, death and death came out right here. So that caught me off guard. So the universe is inside of you. So when you want to think about where, it's not what you can see, but it's what you can interpret, right? It's what's inside of you. And death is the energy of the spirit right now. So the perspectives in your universe are those 10 perspectives I just mentioned, right? So whatever needed to be changed, which is 1, 2, 3, which is your will, your fears, and your emotions, well, your feelings, right? When you decide to be fearless, or when you decide not to let that hold you down anymore, when you let go of the attachment to the triggers, your spiritual energy is all yours. And lastly is why. And it's because you are a healer of a sort, or you were sent here to heal, or this reading is designed to heal a portion of what your source brought you here to do, right? Source energy is very important because it's why you get up every day in the morning. So it has to do with healing. Your reason, your why is healing. When you ask God why, it's about being a healer, right? And it's crazy because, right, it's the whole deck. Total transformation and healing. That's what it's about for you. So let's get some of these descriptions really quickly, starting off with who, which is time. Divine timing is everything. You are not stuck or heading in the wrong direction. Drawing the hourglass asks you to have patience with whatever your current situation is. All will come to pass when the moment is just right. This card can also indicate that something you are waiting for is just on the horizon. Now, the horizon is when you will do it, because you put energy to all things. It's up to you and your spirit to do this in unison at the same time. Sometimes you need a muse. Sometimes you can just do it yourself. Sometimes you need to doom scroll online until you reach that one video that says, okay, oh, let me just get off and do something now. Maybe you needed that. That's what it was all for. So it's not all nonsense. It's experience. Have a mindful eye to understand that everything that passes you, you can learn from. And that's who. What is relief? So let's get that really quickly. Your manifestations can relieve, but look, the tangible world and all that is physical in nature, what you can see, feel, and touch invites you to participate in enjoying it. Inviting earth energy into your current situation will bring more stability at this time. Be kind to this temple of a physical body that is the home for your soul, right? It requires an adequate nutrition and rest. Meditate on this symbol when you want more of a connection to the physical plane and validation of all that is here in the three-dimensional world with you. Honor it, see it, feel it, experience it with love and respect. So it's a certain authenticity in what you do as a Virgo with your will, right? And we're learning that authenticity is greater than love by like 4,000 times or something like that. It's crazy. Authenticity is the greatest and most powerful energy because authenticity comes from your true self. That's why. It's like if you were tuned in on a radio station, it's completely clear when you're authentic to yourself. Alright, so when. That was what? When is power, and this, let's get it real quick. I said it was about claiming your power. You are powerful, you are worthy, you are sovereign. It is time to remember your worth. Drawing this card invites you to take your place in the starting role of your life. There is no need to play small here. You are being granted permission to display your strengths for all to see at this time. It does no service for you to hide your gifts. Drawing this card can also indicate that it is time for you to call your power back from any situation where it may have been taken or given away. Given away is the more of a message for me right now. That's what it's telling me right now. You give it away because you are sovereign. Why? I heard somebody, I don't remember who they even are, but it was online, doom scrolling as usual. They said, you can say, I am a sovereign being. If you're having problems with some kind of spirit, right? Understand that spirits thrive through emotions. So, fear, which is off right now. Let's talk about fear. I would say, I'm a sovereign being, and fear is not welcome in my aura, in my energy, in my presence. And you can just create it from there. But knowing that you are a sovereign being and speaking it out loud, that's the third link. Like, that's the one that combines it. Okay, your spirit is saying, your spirit wants you to say it, because when you're united in that front, everything else has to go. It's a purging of a sort. So next up is where, and that's within your perspectives, within your mind. All is mind, right? Within your mind, right? You have death. And let's get that really quickly. The noticeable end of a cycle or situation. Grieving or mourning a loss in order to heal. It is time to watch the old way leaving itself in the past. Allow feelings of grief or sadness to move through you with ease. Meditate on this when you want to honor an ending, a loss, or letting go in your life. With grace, without death, with grace. Without death, there is no life, and vice versa. And I just understood what death is. When you harbor emotions, what death just told me, and the reason why it's at desire, and the reason why this is you, and when you harbor it in your soul, your spirit, right? It's here, it's compacted. You have to release it. They tell you to find outlets, right? If you like to dance, that's an outlet. If you like to draw, that's an outlet. If you like to write, play, this, that, that's an outlet. They tell you to find outlets. And in that moment, you are giving death to whatever emotions they needed to pass through, because you opened a channel where they could pass through, and that forced the transition of that energy, and now you didn't have it anymore. So if you like anybody, you go to games, is to regulate that energy, right? So using emotional energy is the process of death, between it being within you to outside of you, to getting rid of it. Death is energy transition. That's crazy. So let's put it this way. If you were a fantasy character and you knew how to use a fireball, the death is the action of your energy leaving your body for the fireball. Huh? That's crazy. Never thought of that. So next up is why, and this is the healer. I talked about it before, but let's get it. So the big question of why can be answered with the healer. You are a healer. Fear not your own ability to be a light worker or way shower for others. Drawing this card can also symbolize that a healing in its highest form is available to you now. If you pulled this card in regard to a relationship or a situation, please know that there's a powerful exchange of energy here. Meditate when you are wanting to heal on a physical, mental, emotional, or spiritual plane. So physical, mental, emotional, or spiritual, or what they said? Spiritual plane. But that spiritual plane, they doubled it. This is the astral plane. So spiritual, mental, physical, mental, spiritual, and astral plane, right? Gotta get that correctly, because everything has a place, and if you know where it's placed, you know how to use it. And when you keep, you can go back to my other readings, and as you learn what this board has to offer you, I know when you look at it, you're like, wow, like what is this? What does this feel like? It feels just right. It just feels like it's correct, because I put a lot of time in it, and God gave me a lot of downloads and said, this is what you do with it, and now I'm presenting it to you as per God's request. Don't think I wanted to be up here because I'm a Cancer. Get me to the nearest rock so I can hide under it. Like, I'm good. I don't want to be in any spotlight. Don't look at me. Like, I don't want it. But I'm here, so yeah. I gave a little bit of my why just now, so you can understand that it's something that's natural. It's something that you're born for, you're bred for. And it's like you're just ripe for it. So, the next part of this reading is sound. And what does that have to do? You have the vibration, which is this shape right here. You have the frequency, which is this box right here. And you have the energies that play. Basically, the soul, the mind, the body, the spirit, right? Those energies are now, we spoke about everything. What do you do with that? When things are imbalanced, it requires time and effort and energy to balance it. So what I'm doing right now is just going to draw cards to balance these three energies that came out in order, so I can give you a better clear, so you can know what to do with it. Just know how to fix it. That perspective. So give me a moment to do this right about now. Alright, so what happened? In the area of will, it only required one card of energy and time to fix and complete, right? In the area of emotion, well, feelings, right? I feel, right? It required 3 cards and it did not complete. In the area of I am, which is your fears, right? It took 3 cards, but it did complete, right? So the only thing that will have more work to be done with, more deliberation, solo, you can go to other readers. It don't matter where you get the inspiration from, but learning how to handle emotion is very important. And the death with that emotions, it came out twice in the same side. So it's going to require some hard truths. And that's what spirit is kind of sprinkling in your life. Just hard truths. Alright. So that's face value. But let's get the will really quickly. So it started off with the 7 of Cups. And it ended off with the 7 of Wands. So perfect replacement. It was just a change of perspective. That's the only thing you need, because you're doing everything in the right place, just not the right things in that place. It's almost like, yeah, you have a hammer, well, you need a saw, right? That's it. But you in the forest, you in the right place, wrong tool. So searching for purpose, choices, and daydreaming. As I said before, daydreaming has no action, and you went from there to probably all action. Let's see. Perseverance, taking defense, and maintaining control. So control over relentless daydreaming. Control over that. It's needed when you want to pick yourself up. But now that you're picked up, now that you need to move, it's wasting time. And perseverance is the word that got me, because you can do something once. That's great. If you only need to do it once ever, that's perfect. But if you need to maintain it, perseverance and discipline is going to get you through that. So work on those things. Or the things that people give you or you put yourself around that leaves you in a lack of discipline and that kind of thing, stay away from it as best as you can. Or wean yourself off of it. Next up is I feel. And basically, it had a lot of work. It did not complete. But we're going to go ahead and explain what happened anyway. So the Ace of Pentacles is where it started. That's opportunity, prosperity, and new venture. Now, this is, ooh, piece of candy. Ooh, piece of candy. Ooh, piece of candy. I hope you remember that episode, because at the end of that, it was a trap. And when he got caught with that, he felt so stupid. Right? I think it was Homer. Ooh, piece of candy. It's just, no, not Homer. It might have been Family Guy. Or whatever. So, too much candy, no food. Take it how it resonates. Next up, it went to the Knight of Wands, which is also off suit, right? And this is action, adventure, and fearlessness. This is telling me that the validation that you were looking for is not needed no more by you. So what people were telling you about yourself, which was validating something negative about you, you're not accepting it anymore, which is good. And what does that do? Allows you to be more spiritually safe, openly spiritually safe. So it allows you to put your guard down because you have more boundaries. And went from there to the King of Swords. That's head over heart, discipline, and truth. I just mentioned discipline, and I said Spirit is going to sprinkle a little truth in your life. So when that happened, instead of being emotional, which is parallel to water, right, you will decide to use your mental power and say, I'm going to hold this mental fortitude and say, okay, what is actually happening? What are my triggers? Let's figure this out. That kind of energy, and that's perfect, because figuring it out, Spirit gonna sprinkle a little truth in there. Something that you can handle about the whole situation right then and there. You fix this little piece. Next, you take a little baby step up now. Again, a little more truth, another step. A little more truth, another step. You finally see why Spirit has been doing these things. And this is the card that I saw, sprinkle a little truth. That's what I saw. So there's 6 of Pentacles. Charity, generosity, and sharing. Now this is sharing your emotions with other people, places, or things, right? Now, if it's bundled up in there, these are the outlets that you're looking for, and you're finding them. But don't go all out. Do it in pieces, because it's a lot of energy. You've been backed up for a long time. Your spirit has been backed up. Just imagine that. You not being able to be yourself for such a long time. When it's time to be yourself, or when somebody opens that door, that energy is going to come in such a big wave. It's going to flood them, and they're going to close the door. Okay, I can't. You're going to have to tone it down and give them increments. Just like Spirit gives you, you give them little pieces of truth. Oh yeah, this is it. And then they, oh, okay, no, that's fine. It's little bits here and there that they can actually handle. So went from there to the place of fear, which is I am. You know, the great I am. Once you connect with that, you lack fear and you go with God. So work on your I am. And you did. And the funny thing is, I said the great I am and the devil came out, right? But this is the devil card. All major arcana cards are love cards. They move energies from perspective to perspective. So, well, I don't want to keep going into that, but so it started off with the Queen of Wands offsuit. This is courage, determination, and joy. The stubbornness and going after what you love instead of what you need. And then went from there to the Page of Wands. You toned down that energy and it became more innocent. I only wanted this. I only wanted this. Where can I receive that? So when you tone down the energy, it wasn't the actual place or action that you were doing. It's the emotion that you was getting from it that you needed. So you just need to look at another place where you can get that emotion that is more that your spirit honors. It went from there to the Two of Swords. That's crazy because I stuttered. I don't really stutter. And Two of Swords is difficult choices, indecision, and stalemate. So last second decisions that cause you to mess up things. Go with what your initial goal was and stick with it, because if you don't complete the idea, you would think that you're always crazy. And it went from there, thinking that you're crazy, the devil came out. The devil showed its face, or at least your temptations showed its face. And this is materialism, addiction, and playfulness. Playfulness brings joy and beauty and all these other things. Addiction, you can turn a bad moment into a beautiful moment, right? That's one of the biggest reasons for addiction, to turn a bad moment into a beautiful moment. Maybe you constantly thinking that you're having a bad moment, and it requires whatever you're addicted to make it a good moment. It's within you, in yourself. But because you don't have a different type of outlet, it comes off in a way that isn't manageable. You know, as I said before, deliberate on those things. Use your mind properly. Your imagination and your thinking is completely different. So after we done got the vibe down pat, we got the frequency adjusted and the energy tuned, you know, frequency tuned, the energy adjusted, that kind of thing. We have achieved balance. So what do you do with that balance? Next comes the stream, which is the place where we can be more mechanical with everything. This is the place of what if. What if I did this? 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 It's expanding your mind and creation of what you can do at the current moment, you know, at your will, whatever you want to do, to ascend, basically, to become greater. So these are the 5 sections of that part. It goes as experimentation, expression, integration, transcendence, and then ascendance, right? So I think I did that correctly, so we can move on with it. Give me some time to get these cards out. Well, I'm gonna do it on the fly. So for experimentation, I'm gonna get the card out. Understand that growth is necessary, and oh, so much. We have lucky. How can you express luckiness? Your blessings. Ooh, the lack of expressing your blessings will cause the energy to stay within you, because people get jealous, and that's very, you know, jealousy is the green-eyed monster that tries to rule all, or something like that. Psychic. Because you're so time tested, what you integrate in your life now, it's almost like directly what Spirit wanted you to do. So, yeah. It's almost like you're mind reading Spirit. So work on your clairsenses. Look up clairsenses, like clairvoyance, clairsentience, clairaudience. It's like 9 of them, right? So look up those clairsenses and find out which one resonates with you the most, and work on that one. It'll be the one that resonates with you first. You won't even be able to take your eye off of it. So that's the trigger right there. So next up is transcendence, which is friendship. Now I'll plug one more card and put it face down, right? And put it right over there for ascendance. So in the place of growth, we have experimentation, right? Let's get that really quickly. This is what you can experiment with, what you're manifesting right now. So the things that are around you at your disposal, this is what it says. A time of evolution and growth is here. You may be leaving behind outdated and antiquated relationships, mentors, beliefs, systems, situations, and or environments. If you are inquiring about a situation or relationship, this card calls for a deeper commitment or decision to let go in order to honor your journey. Draw another card for clarity about which direction to take regarding your situation. This card represents knowing that all will be well for the highest good. And growth goes this way, not inwards. You look inside, but you grow and become more of yourself. Growth comes from within you. Next up, an expression is luckiness. Now, luck, coincidence, blessings, things like that. Oh, I found this 50 on the floor. I'm going to tell all my friends. Now they going to want $5 from you. That's just life. And if your friend found $100, you were like, let me borrow $5. It's just how we are. Sometimes your blessings are for you. When people know you have more, they're either jealous or they are in need, actual need. So, do what you will with that. So lucky. You've got the Midas touch. Everything you touch turns to gold at this time. Enjoy this winning streak that you're on. Meditate on this when you need an extra boost of being in the right place at the right time kind of energy. I said that, and now it came back up. Being in the right place at the right time kind of energy. And it was about your heart. It was about the Four of Swords, the right place at the right time. I remember that. So friendship is coming to play right now. It's coming up right now. You have lucky friends. Stay next to them. Learn that energy of luckiness. How do they operate? Do they operate with fear? Or do they operate with, oh, it's going to happen somehow? And you cannot figure that out. That is a spiritual thing. And that is faith. That is belief. You cannot figure that out. It happens when you need it to happen. So, next up is psychic and integration. How can you implement, more patterns and habits into your life using psychic means? Now, I said before, psychic, this is a union right here. You have the light, the dark, and the rainbow inside. Just understand that this simple graph can get you to understand what you need to do with your actions and your goals and your intentions, where you're going, that kind of thing. So, psychic, intuition, empathic gifts, psychic visions, prophecy, and powerful dreamings are present. You now have access to a greater wisdom that's beyond what the human eye can see. This is a time of great awakening. New psychic abilities and gifts come to you now. See the sacredness in your visions. Pay attention to your dreams and the symbols that are repeating as messages. Meditate on this symbol when you want to expand your healing, creative dreaming, and physical psychic abilities. As I said before, the psychicness are those clear senses. And, well, probably with the senses in general. The regular senses and the clear senses. So next up in transcendence is friendship. Now, what's the difference between transcendence and ascendance? It's going to be my going analogy, right? So you have a Pidgey that gets to level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, what is it, 14, 15, I think it's 15 or 16, 16, right? You get the Pidgey to level 16, and then he goes to a Pidgeotto. So, that's the difference. We evolve, we're here. We level up here, right? So, friendships. What is a friendship? After you make a connection with a noun, person, place, or thing, you create a bond with it, right? You bond with that thing. What can that thing do for me? What can I do for it to make it better, right? So, if you bond it with your feet in transportation, how can you bond with your feet more? Get on a bike. That's how you can bond with your feet more. Well, how can you do more? Get a car. That's how you can bond with your feet more. You can travel more distance using the same feet. Like, it just keeps going and going and going. So, friendship. A new ally, positive support, community, and camaraderie. Meditate when you want more harmony and peace in your community. Also used to draw new alliances and friends. Oh, alliance is better than friendship too, because that's timeless. Y'all here is almost like a marriage. But, as I said before, it doesn't have to be a person. Yeah. And lastly, in this reading, for Virgo, we have nature spirits in the place of ascendance. And you ascend off of what you know and what you experience. So, let's get nature spirits really quickly. The elementals, fairies, devas, and other nature spirits request your presence. Presence is in the here and now. Request you to be here and now. Not thinking about the past, not thinking about the future, but right now. This moment. It is time to venture outside, get into nature, and recharge your batteries with the trees, the grass, the mountains, the desert, and the sea. There is a magic that awaits you when you commune with nature. Now, the trees, the grass, the mountains, the desert, and the sea. All of that is those negative ions. When you basically juice your body up with negative ions, it gets rid of the positive ions that cause inflammation in all different types of places in your body. Mind, soul, and spirit, right? It regulates the negativity, or what we call negativity, in ourselves with the negative ions. It's just everything is backwards the way we gonna understand it. So if you can understand that everything needs to be backwards to understand it, it's frustrating, but it's worth it. Let me just read this last part. The dryads are tree spirits and keepers of the earth, of earth knowledge. Talk to the trees. So, talk to the trees, let them know about the bee's knees. I don't know why that came out. Somebody's busy and nosy. But that was the end of the reading. I hope we got what you came for. I hope you got a good perspective, a different perspective. Why? Because if you see differently, the devil has to learn you over again in order to try to get you back into that same trap. But you'll only be better the next time. So these current cycles will never have a hold on you ever again. So if you like this reading, like, share, and subscribe. I do this for a reason. This is going to be an app for everybody that wants to discover their spirit, but as well as every reader that you see online. This is going to be for them. So imagine all your favorite readers on this board, on the app that I'm going to create. So it's going to be on your phone, on the board, everywhere, and it's going to give you all the knowledge that you need to ascend with nature and your own nature. So with all that said and done, I'm KyFy. Peace.